Hi, it's Rebecca here from Precious Paige's Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Paper Maze. And I'm using Paige Evans' Garden Shop collection. In my last layout with this collection, I stuck to a really limited colour palette, so I picked out all the greens and yellows from the collection to work with. So today I wanted to go a bit more colourful and have a bit more fun, because this collection is full of colourful papers and embellishments. So yeah, I wanted to really let loose and have some fun. And I've chosen a photo of my little boy. He was actually in a local sunflower patch, but they also have a wildflower meadow as well. So I thought that worked really well with this gorgeous floral patterned paper, which is probably one of my favourites in the collection. So colourful and pretty. But it kind of works as like an extension to my photo. So you get the florals behind him, and then they sort of continue into that strip of paper. So I've cut it about 3 inches wide and about 9 inches long. And I'm going to use that as kind of an anchor at the base of my layout. And then I selected some of the patterned papers that I liked the B side of and cut some tags from them, just using some metal tag dies I have. Now I went for the B sides because those are more solid papers, more solid colours. Although they do have subtle patterns on them, they're not bright and colourful and leery, they are more solid. So I've picked out colours that also appear in that floral paper and kind of in my photo as well, just so it all coordinates nicely. And I've placed 2 of those tags up at the top there, 1 down at the bottom, and then I've added some of the floral die cuts on to embellish. I love this pack. I think I bought 2 so that I don't run out anytime soon. But I'm going for kind of a diagonal design through the photo with those in the opposite direction that the tags have gone. And I've kind of just placed everything on the page at the moment just to see where I want it. And now I'm going to come in and add a little bit of mixed media to that background. So I'm using a starburst stencil here, and I've got a selection of distress inks and oxides. And I'm trying to colour match the colours in these pattern papers and embellishments, and also my photo. So I've started off with a distress ink in shaded lilac, and then I'm coming on top of that with a distress oxide in, I think that's Salty Ocean, that one, and I'm trying to replicate that gorgeous kind of lilac-y purple colour of that flower up at the top of my photo there, because that quite heavily appears in the background of my photo. So I've done quite a large area of that, and it's kind of peering out underneath my photos and my tags. And then I'm going to use the same stencil and add a bit more colour up at the top of the page too. Now I'm coming in with a green distress oxide. This is in Mowed Lawn. This is my favourite green colour from all the distress inks and oxides. I love this colour. So I just added a little bit up at the top there. And obviously I'm cleaning my stencil in between each colour because I don't want muddied colours. Sort of if that blue and the green had mixed, it would have ended up with like a really weird browny colour on my page, and I didn't want that. So I am cleaning my stencil in between. And then I'm going to slowly get things stuck in place. I've stopped at the moment with just the 2 stenciled areas, but I do come back in later and add a little bit more, just where I felt like my embellishments needed something behind them. So this sort of my anchor of bit pattern paper, that's going to be stuck down flat on my background with the tags behind it. Now the top of those tags I have raised up on foam pads, and that just allows me to have a little bit of dimension and a little bit of space to get some cord and twine through in a minute as well. So just adding that bottom one in, I forgot that one, just typical. And like I said, I've cut these tags from the pattern papers, and then I've also cut the little bit to kind of flap over the holes, but I've cut those from the reverse side, so they have got more colour on them, and it just offers a bit of contrast between the tags so that they've got some other colours in as well. And I felt like I needed a layer of something behind my photo just to help it kind of stand out a little bit. It was just looking a bit plain and boring with just the white background. And I think that's because the colours at the top half of my photo are quite pale. With the white background, it just looked like it was almost washing the colour out a little bit. So I've added a bit of, I think that was basil cardstock behind it, a nice bright bubblegum pink colour, and it matches some of the florals in the die cuts that I'm using. I'm going to get those stuck in place now with some foam dots behind them. I've also raised my photo up on foam as well. It's something I like to do just to bring in a little bit of dimension, and it helps if your photo is stood up against everything else. It helps to keep it sort of the focal point of the page as well, I find. and then coming in with some of these gorgeous leaves. I love these leaves, I totally adore them. They're from that floral die cut pack as well. And I'm just curling the edges of everything up just to bring in a little bit of texture and dimension and to make those look a little bit more realistic. For my title here, I've got an acrylic perspective from Bramble Fox that says Brighter Days, and I've picked this one because I thought it goes really nicely with some of the blue tones in my choice of papers and my photo. So I'm just getting that stuck down with glossy accents. That is my kind of go-to adhesive for anything like acrylic or flares, sequins, anything slightly heavier than just your average sort of pattern paper or cardstock. I tend to use glossy accents. It's got a super strong hold, and that's also available from Paper Made if you just search for it on the website. That's fantastic stuff. And here's where I just decide I need to bring in a little bit more stenciling, just to sort of add a little detail behind those floral clusters. It's just looking a little bit bare in those areas, and I've used a Distress Oxide in Fossilized Amber there. Now under my lights here it looks quite a bright yellow, but it's actually not as bright as it looks. It is more of a kind of a mustardy yellow, to match that tag at the top and then those sunflowers you see in that patterned paper. So I'm not sure why my lights make it look quite this bright, but it's definitely not in real life. Then I'm going to come in now with some smaller embellishments just to fill a few gaps and add a bit more detail on the layout. So we've got those lovely large florals, but I like to have some smaller bits as well. So this is I think it's called Phrase and Accent, or Accent and Phrase stickers. They're like cardstock stickers, and they're quite sturdy actually. I really like these. So I'm just picking out a few of those. I've got that little bird house there, the little birdie. And so just to bring another bird in onto the other side, I've added one to the top corner above my title. And I'm tucking in some florals there around where my tags are. And then I'm pulling out the little sticker book that you get as well with this collection. And this is a fantastic book. I think it's got 8 pages in total. And it's all little stickers, which is just fantastic. Some of them are see-through. Some of them are foiled with a kind of like rose gold, really nice, almost bronzy coloured foil. It's super pretty. So I am going to use some of those as well because I like a bit of sparkle and bling on my pages. But these, like I say, they're a bit more see-through and flimsy compared to the cardstock stickers. So because I don't want them to be see-through as such, the ones that I'm layering up on top of patterned paper, you just lose the detail of them. So that floral cluster I've put on the right there, I did actually stick that to some white cardstock and then cut it out. And it just gives a nice white background, so it stands out a lot more now. And I didn't do it on the other one, which I've layered just above my title, on top of that other floral cluster. I didn't bother with the white behind that, and you can see it almost gets lost on the page. So with those, I do generally like to add some white cardstock behind them. I just came in there with some splatters, tone on tone, just on top of that stenciling I did. So I used the same Distress inks or oxides and just watered those down on some packaging and then added some splatters with my paintbrush. And now I'm coming in with some almost like twine or cord. It's a nice natural colour, so it's not bringing too much more colour onto the page, but I do like the natural colour of it. And the wild flowers in the background, you could pick those and buy a posy, and they were wrapping them in hessian and tying them with twine, which I thought was really nice, and that reminded me of that. So it's a little nod to our little day out that we had together. And then this pattern paper I put in here, I absolutely adore. It's got loads of little phrases on it, all different colours. It's almost like brickwork on the background there. But I'm going to cut a few out individually to match my colour scheme, and also things that work for my layout. I think I've got Amazing. I've got, is it Smell the Bouquet or something like that? It says, I can't see on the screen at the moment. But things that matched the theme of my layout and our day out, but also that brought in some different colours down the bottom of the page there. So I've got that green tag and that bright pink flower, and then I've got that blue stenciling behind it. So I wanted some more colours in that corner, and I thought this was a fantastic way to bring in a bit more colour down there without overloading the page. And I'm going to raise these up with some foam behind them so they stand off the page a little bit and create a little bit of shadowing in that area as well. I'm just turning the page sideways there just to make sure they are stuck straight. And then I'm just going to finish off the page with some doodled stitching. Now I got to this point and thought, oh, wish I'd stitched around this pattern paper in white thread. But obviously everything is stuck down in place now and it's way too late for that. So I'm just using a Uniball white gel pen to just draw in some faux stitching, and I like the little detail that adds to the edge of that, and white obviously shows up really nicely against the darker edge of that paper. And I'm pretty certain that that is me done for today. So I love all the colours in this layout, much different to the previous layout I made with just the yellows and the greens. So I had a lot of fun with this one. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it and it gives you some inspiration. The collection is available on the store now to buy, so do head on over and check it out because it is a fantastic collection full of little pretty flowers and colours and things, and you can kind of use it for summer, spring and autumn really. It's got those types of colours in, so it's fantastic, so do go over and check it out. But thanks very much for joining me and I'll see you next time.